when we got you both on board, Cal said to me, did you see the sharks circling under Simon? And I said, no, I didn't.
So we get up this morning at like 6 o'clock, left the Overlander, all a little bit apprehensive about taking on the famous corrugator track in a steep point. Well, we're about 70 k's in and we've only finally hit the corrugations, and it's fair to say that they are a little bit aggressive, but it's been a pretty good trip or drive in so far. So we're just hearing down now. Here are the corrugations. We're about 20 or 30 k's of these now. Good morning, Shelter Bay. It's now Friday, about the 5th I think of September, I'm guessing. So we actually arrived yesterday and it was windy and it was cold. It's still cold, it was raining, and it took us a good hour and a half to set our camp up. However, we were actually awoken to some pretty nice conditions this morning, so we're hoping to probably put the tinnies in the water in about an hour, and then we've got apparently 4 hours of good boating conditions, so with a bit of luck we can catch a bit of fish. So the tinnies they're pretty much ready, sitting at low tide, but yeah, it's pretty nice here this morning other than a lot of cloud, which is apparently supposed to burn off by about lunchtime, and then we've got 2 days of perfect weather. Just recapping the drive in, so we left the Overlander at 6 AM, looking forward to the 3 odd hours, almost 200 kilometres of hill corrugations, we were told, and not all corrugations, but they were, we were led to believe, due to watching many YouTube clips and talking to many people, that, you know, this track is going to rattle your bones to the core and your teeth are going to fall out of your head. And anyway, we were fairly fortunate that the first 70 k's the road was like flat as. I'm talking the dirt road, by the way. So after you go off the bitumen and you get to the dirt track, it was recently graded, so we didn't have any corrugations for the first 70 k's. However, the last 20 we had a few, and then we got to the sand hills that we were also awfully apprehensive about climbing. They weren't too bad either. In fact, Simon, the guy driving the Jeep, forgot to put his car in four-wheel drive and climbed the hill quite easily. All about tyre pressure, all about taking it easy. Got here safe and sound, just over 3 hours from the Overlander service station.
Do you miss me at all? Do you think about the things we used to do? No, you couldn't stand tall, so why didn't you call? So many years has gone by, but I think about you all the time. Looks like you're changing and all, but why didn't you call? Something in the air, always something in the air. Inexplicable, I can feel it in the air. Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Can you feel me?
So it's taken me till now, and it's 3 o'clock the day after, to I guess process what happened yesterday. And myself and Simon put our tinny, my tinny in the water, I suppose, 8 o'clock. And it's with full disclosure, I tell you guys right now that I'm north of 90 kilos and Simon's north of 120 kilos. So I've been in boating for probably 20 plus years, so I'm fairly cautious. I didn't go out before 8 o'clock because the wind was a bit strong here in Shelter Bay. So the other guy with the other tinny, he's fairly new to it, so he's uber cautious. So there was no element of recklessness, I suppose you could say, by going out at 8 o'clock and fishing the so-called Shelter Bay. We went halfway across the Dirk Hartog Island. It was just too rough, so we decided to head back towards Kells 2, where we're camping, and fish either side of the rock, because it was just, the wind was from the east-southeast and it was only 15 knots. However, we were being cautious, right? So anyway, we turned around, we come back to Kells, towards Kells Rock, and the crew that were with, they went ahead and they told us on the 2-way that they're going to go and fish closer, and we were probably 200 metres behind them, and myself and Simon just decided to spontaneously drop a line, I'm going to say 300 metres off the furthest rock out from Kells. And immediately that we did this, we started catching fish, and we started catching good fish. We had, between the two of us, we had half a dozen grassies, or blue line emperor, or trickies, depending on where you're from, on the boat, and I got myself a nice 54 centimetre pink snapper. Simon suffers a little bit of seasickness, so after probably an hour and a half, maybe 2 good hours of actual fishing, Simon turned to me and said, "Look, I'm feeling pretty cooked, let me go back in." And I was all good with that. And at this stage, right as he said this, the wind went from, I'm going to say, 12 to 15 knots to 15 to 20 knots. Like a big gust came through. So the decision to turn around and go back to shore was based, I guess, on that big gust of wind, and also Simon feeling a bit unwell. Now, as I mentioned before, neither of us are lightweights, and my tinny's 3.5 metres long. And trying to cut a long story short, Simon handed me, what I remember of the incident was Simon handed me his rod so I could put in the rod holder. I leant over to put it in the rod holder, and by leaning over, I'm leaning onto Simon's side, if you like, which caused the boat to lean excessively to one side. I took my hand off the tiller. We're only at idle speed. The tinny turned on the angle that the tiller was turning, and needless to say, we both fell in and the boat capsized. So 2 blokes floating around, and we're only 300 metres offshore, so not a long way out. And at this stage, the current is pushing us towards Kells, these 2 rocks at Kells. So I was relatively comfortable that we were drifting the right way, even though the tinny's capsized. anyway, so one of our mates on the beach pretty much saw, not it happened, but he saw the tinny upside down, so he ran back to speak to Nigel, and Nigel come with his little tinny, 3.75 tinny. Anyway, it wasn't strong enough to pull us back because now the tide had changed. So what we'd figured out after talking to this guy on the beach this morning, he said, mate, it was just coincidental that when we turned to come back in, the tide had changed, big gust of wind, and we got hit. Once they got hit, I do remember like a small wind chop hit the side of the tinny, which, like I said, when two blokes are leaning the wrong way, and I mean the wrong way, it just accentuates the whole thing, and you can sort of understand what happened. Anyway, so Nigel come out and tried to pull us back in, but the current had changed, and now we started drifting east. Nigel put a couple of flares up, and we were kindly rescued by a guy called Carl. I think the other guy's name is Robert. So they come with us on a console. We hopped in the back of their boat. As Simon was suffering a little bit, I guess I was a bit gung-ho about the whole thing because neither of us were hurt, which is, I guess, the most important thing. And I guess realised, well, I thought to myself that I'm just going to lose everything in the tinny. As it turns out, lost 5 fishing rods and reels. Lost 3 or 4 good blue-nosed emperor. Was able to, for some unknown reason, the pink snapper stayed around, so I've got no idea what that was. But kept in my tackle boxes. Lost 1 box of sinkers and my mini tackle box with jig heads and another tackle box just with hooks. So I guess, you know, in not a bad outcome really. Anyway, so these guys took us back to shore. And then we jumped off, and then they said, look, we'll go back and we'll salvage your tinny. So they turned east and went back out chasing the tinny back towards the mainland, because by now the current's getting really serious and this tinny's like really drifting at a rapid pace. Anyway, so they got to the tinny, and by this time I've actually walked along the track east as well, and I reckon I walked probably 3K, so this tinny drifted about 3Ks, and I met these guys in a real shallow area where I waded out to them, and we righted the tinny and we bailed it out. And now with hindsight, I think maybe Simon and I probably could have righted the tinny as we got swamped, so to speak, or we capsized the tinny. But anyway, we didn't. So going back to being rescued, these awesome guys had towed my tinny 3Ks east of our camp spot, and they, I guess, skull dragged it over some fairly shallow ground. I waded out to them. We were able to ride it because I had solid surface to help this guy Carl push the boat over the way that it should be. We bailed all the water out, and then we just drifted it into shore. And Carl's wife was kind enough to bring their four-wheel drive down, which had a trailer on it. So we just used their trailer, winched on the trailer, and we all went back to our camp, and we sort of took the tinny off the trailer, and I licked my wounds, I suppose you could say. Got quite a little bit emotional, I suppose, because I've never experienced something like that. I'm fairly confident with boating. I'm not reckless. I may be a little bit boyish at times, but I was, sort of really hit us between the eyes what actually did happen and could have happened. But so what's all that mean? What all this means is that we were able to start the tinny. I rang my boat mechanic and sort of said, this is what's happened, and pretty much it was upside down, so the head of the motor was sitting in water for a couple of hours. And fortunately, another guy that we're camping with, he's a mechanic, so he was able to step us through, pulling the plugs out and getting water out of the carby, and we were able to fire the engine up, which is a good sign. However, there's a bit of oil, there's a bit of water in the oil, so no more fishing for me, and it's now, I think it's Saturday. Yeah, so this happened on Friday, and it's been blowing its guts out all day, so I haven't missed out much fishing. And tomorrow's the same, it's blowing its guts out. So after 12 months of planning, I probably got to go fishing in Shelter Bay for about 2 or 3 hours. And you know, will I be back? I really hope so. This is an amazing place. Would I have done anything different? I don't know what else I could have done yesterday, or we could have done. It was just one of those things that we both, almost poetry in motion, leant over on the same side at the same time when a wave, you know, a small wave, like I'm talking 1.5 foot. It was just, like I said, coincidental. And then of course what compounded it was, I guess, taking the hand off the tiller, which made the motor spin to one side. And it just happened to spin the same way that we were leaning. And the rest is history. So there you go. That's how we capsized our boat. That's our very different sort of vlog or YouTube episode from Shelter Bay. Pretty sombering experience. So what I thought I might do is actually quickly chat to one of our rescuers yesterday. He's a guy whose name's Rob. He was heavily instrumental and heavily involved in our rescue. So, well, what I might do is maybe get you to step us through actually what kind of happened yesterday to get you involved.
Yes, hi. Yeah, I was just sitting on the beach relaxing, and I got a call. There was I heard that there was a boat that capsized about a kilometre up the coast, and so I was lucky enough to be around to help out the guy in the next camp who had a sizable dinghy.
So did Kale call out to you and say, hey, we got to go?
No, one of your guys from your camp came down.
Oh, you run down here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Kyle and his wife were about to go fishing.
Right.
So she had to look after the baby, so she hopped out and I hopped in.
Yeah, yeah.
And we conquered around there, got you two guys out of the water.
Yeah, yeah.
Which wasn't easy, but then we had to go back get the boat, which was a bit of a struggle. Really.
Yeah, yeah.
The tide was coming in, and the wind was going out. So,
which is pretty much what caused us to capsize.
Yeah. Just
that one little rogue wind chop, really.
Yeah, yeah, and they were big chops. They were, I would say, probably 3 feet.
You reckon they were that big?
Yeah, we actually went around the corner of the rock.
Yeah.
Kale's boat. We had to really throttle back. There were.
Yeah.
And a chop went over the nose of his boat.
Yeah.
So,
that's why we sort of turned. The wind was starting to pick up. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see how it would happen with the chops that we went through.
Yeah.
And it got off balance, and one guy went over.
That's exactly what happened.
It would have happened so quickly.
It did, yeah.
And it would have been a bit of a nightmare.
Can you describe what you actually found when you got to us?
Well, as we went around the corner, we saw the flare.
Yeah.
The powers had a flare going. And
that was
two
Nigel,
guys in the water, and Simon, he looked dead in distress actually.
Yeah.
You said to me, okay, you got to go, baby. He was really struggling. And I thought anyway, he was glad to see us, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Anyway.
It was.
But we didn't mention it to you out there. I don't know if Kale did, but when we got you both on board, Kale said to me, did you see the shark circling under Simon? And I said, no, I didn't. So he didn't mention anything to you guys at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, might freak out.
How far ashore?
I reckon about 500 metres.
Oh, but yeah, so we were fishing 300 metres offshore, but yeah, by the time that current got hold of us, we were out another 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand how hard it is to get back into a dinghy, and especially the little one that the mates had.
No, we would have been buggered without you and Carl. So thanks again. I know I said thank you yesterday,
yeah,
and thank you for being such a, I guess, supportive wife, partner. And you guys mentioned you're from Jurien Bay.
Yeah. We're living in Jurien Bay at the moment. We're sort of house sitting there.
Yeah.
While we build, before we built in Denison.
Port Denison.
Yeah, we've done up there.
Okay. Or down there.
Oh, yeah. Down there from here.
Yeah, wow. And is I got the impression yesterday you've actually been to Shelter Bay or Steep Point a number of times.
Yeah, we started coming here probably 2006.
Yep.
And pretty much every year we come here.
Yep.
Different times of the year. So we know all different weather conditions. But,
So what's the good, the bad, and the ugly of do you think Shelter Bay?
well, the wind.
magic.
I think we love it. If you can get some magic days, absolutely beautiful days. But this 3 days have been quite windy.
Yeah, we know. Yep.
We've been here in the summertime where it's been beautiful.
Yep.
But then we've got the sea breeze coming in, and we've been in here in autumn. I think autumn is by far the best. Being here.
So I think I suggested to young Harp that we were probably a month late. We were actually planning to come a month ago, but one thing led to the other and we had to put it off till now. So maybe a month ago,
Yeah.
maybe or early August probably would in the...
Well, they've had a lot of the coast. We've had a lot of unseasonal winter rain and wind along
Yep.
here, which don't normally get in winter.
Yeah,
So it's been quite a wet, cold winter.
yeah, right, okay. Bloody windy. Yeah, right.
Which is not like this.
Yeah,
But when you get these sea breezes coming in the summertime, this well protected this
Yeah.
way. So the winds are offshore. So it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it's always been.
We love
Yeah.
it. We love it.
so after 5 days here at Shelter Bay, we leave 8:30, awoke at 6, started packing up, took us an hour and a half, and pretty nice day here today as we leave. However, my learned colleague next to me took it upon himself this morning to check the weather in the next 6 days here at Ashley Deluxe. Mid-20s to high 20s with pretty much no wind to 10 knots at a high. We had pretty much 15 to 35 knots for most of the 5 days we were here, so we were not kissed by the weather fairy. Anyway, an amazing experience, amazing location. Till next time, Shelter Bay, thanks for the memories.
Staying at home, turn off the phone, I will listen to you. You lay in the sheets, you hold on to me like I'm already gone, and whisper your words like secrets written in an old moleskin. Look up above, the sunlight seems like it is gonna break in, and something ain't right. Yeah, something ain't right. Oh, something ain't right. Something ain't right. You straighten my shirt, wearing the skirt that my